across a video last night actually from Freerider, and a gentleman in the comment section, I think his name was Slack Punk, was expressing that he was having problems with corner entry, that kind of stuff, and positioning and just confidence in relation to cornering in general. So kind of I took it for granted for a while actually, that when you first get on a bike you have that kind of, you know, learning to walk feeling. You don't really know what the bike is doing underneath you until you get a few thousand miles underneath you, and you get the confidence to throw the bike into a corner a bit more, sort of with a bit more determination, let's say. But I had a few pointers when I was first learning on the KLX 125, and a couple of people told me some similar things, and I kind of went out and figured it out for myself. So I'm going to go out today and try and film some corners and see and discuss with you how I approach them and how I can get myself out of trouble if I approach them a little bit too fast than I'm usually comfortable with. There's a few things you can do, and I'll discuss a few things you probably shouldn't do. But of course I'm by no means an expert at cornering. You know, I don't drag knee and things like that, because I'm not the kind of person that wants to go out and set myself those kind of targets, because it's a public road, and you know, I've got stock tyres on the bike and I don't really care for that kind of thing that much. One thing I will say though, if you do intend to go out and sort of improve your cornering technique and push yourself, you know, beyond, not saying push yourself beyond your capabilities, but push yourself to be more confident, obviously, you know, you've got to wear gloves, you've got to wear the appropriate safety clothing. I'm not talking about, you know, a nice rugged pair of jeans. Preferably wear leathers, or at least some sort of you know, padded set of jeans with Kevlar lining and things like that. Don't go out on a basic pair of jeans and a t-shirt, because you're just asking for trouble. So just bear that in mind. I'm wearing my Alpine Stars GP Plus suit, one piece, which is worn in quite nicely. It's actually really comfortable now. So, well, it shouldn't be comfortable, but it is. In terms of it's basically to do with how uncomfortable I am willing to be on a motorcycle. So yeah, here we go. There's a few twisties up ahead which are quite interesting, so I'm going to try and gingerly scrub my tyres to start with, because sometimes you never know, you've got a bit of oil on there, or a bit of moisture that needs to be wiped off, a bit of rubbish, a bit of crap, and a bit of dust. It's often better to just warm yourself up a little bit, limber up, warm your back up. So if you have back pain, you're going to know straight away, because you'll be using your back a lot doing these kind of movements. I find that sitting the way I'm sitting now, with my arms slightly tucked in like this, not like that, don't lean over the bars forward too much, because it makes the whole movement of the bike really difficult. So just tuck your arms in like this, over the top of the seat, over your bum, and you'll see that the bike suddenly becomes much lighter and much easier to handle than it would have otherwise been if you'd been sort of leant forward a little bit. So don't put too much weight on the bars, because as you can see here, I'm just turning with one hand, and I'm doing everything I need to do. So you don't need to hold on too tight, you don't need to put too much weight on the bars. Just gently relieve the weight off of your arms by propping yourself up, and then you'll feel the bike's much more responsive. So there's a corner coming up which is quite a slow corner at this speed, but it's got a good example of sort of the technique you could employ. So as we're coming up, I move out and I gently move in like this, and I'm not steering the bike, essentially I'm not leaning in too much, I'm just counter steering the bike. Same with the upcoming corner, just get your position, look at the exit, and just gently counter steer. That's all I did there. It wasn't aggressive, nothing, just be as smooth as you can be. We're approaching a roundabout now, which is probably a good example to show you how you can change direction. So look, steer in, counter steer, look at the exit. That's all there is to it really. All I'm doing is just a small input there. In fact, let me see if I can get enough speed up, and I'll show you here quite how easy it is. Look, I'm holding the bar end with my fingers, and that's all you need to do. Honestly, that's all the force that is required. I'm putting a minimal amount of force through those bar ends to get the bike to steer. So again, look, one hand, and it just does it. See? Probably need to speed up. Cars are catching up, so and you've got to make sure that, you know, your tyres are clean of any debris, any dust, any mud. You've warmed them up a little bit at least. So gingerly waving from side to side kind of helps you build confidence and helps you to build your way towards, you know, the edge of the tyre, and make use of all of the tyre essentially. So like I said, I've had my full license for just under a year now, and I had the Z800, and now I've moved on to the Z900, and I gotta admit, yeah, okay, this bike is much more confidence inspiring than the Z800 ever was in terms of cornering, because I feel like it's easier to throw about. So just gingerly wear the tyre in side to side. Don't force it, don't be aggressive, just be gentle with it. Okay, there's a cyclist up ahead, about 100 metres ahead, so we've got to be careful. Slow down for this lady. Move out of the way. So, mirror, mirror, over the shoulder check, get up to speed. So it is 60 miles an hour now, and that person's decided to overtake on a pretty sketchy spot, but anyway. So give the cyclist plenty of room. So these are the corners I wanted to show you, but unfortunately we're stuck behind a Volvo. Anyway, we'll probably try and do them on the way back, do them in reverse. So again, the same principle, you're going to just gently apply pressure to one side of the bar, look, like this, again one-handed, not doing, you don't really see the bar moving a lot, and again, one-handed, just a slight bit of input from the bars, and then you just lean in like this, see? Okay, we've got a 30 mile an hour zone, so we've got to slow it right down. I guess I might as well talk about positioning on the bike since I'm stuck behind this bus. So when I take a corner, you'll notice I dip my head slightly like this, and I think that's it on a normal situation where I'm just trying to be a little bit faster than I usually would be. That's as far as I'll sort of move my head, and I'll just look at the corner to try and exit it. So you do the same on this side, do the same that. And what I usually do, all you see technically is the head moving, but what's happening underneath on my torso is I'm actually moving my bottom half out like this and like that. So I'm sliding one butt cheek off the seat and then holding on with the opposite leg to basically make sure I can clamp the tank. And that I find helps with the leaning of the bike a little bit. I mean, I don't start doing this as soon as you get on your bike and you want to just go and try and push your limits. Just build up to it, do it gently, bit by bit, piece by piece. Just work your way to, you know, towards the edge of the tyre in your own time, and just obviously be safe. Don't push your luck. Royal Jordanian has the 70% rule, and that's gospel to me. I follow that rule every time I go out. I don't push myself over the 70% limit of what I think is my skill set on a motorcycle. See how you feel, and make conscious decisions towards achieving your target, but in a way that keeps you safe and out of harm's way as much as possible. at the end of the day, like, I'm not the best rider. Certainly not the best rider at all. I can't really corner that well, but so far so good. I haven't ended up on, you know, the green stuff, or I haven't slipped out or fallen off. I think a key part of motorcycle riding and actually being safe on a motorbike is recognising your own limitations as a rider, especially if you've just begun. You know, some people just feel like they can go out and, oh yeah, I'm gonna drag me at my first outing. I don't think it works like that, unless you have, you know, you've been racing before you actually got your road license. No, it's a little bit more complex than that, I think. Like I said, I think it's important to know your limitations, and I think I did, until I actually got on the Z800, and then I realised actually it's a whole different kettle of fish compared to the 125. So then, you know, it kind of puts that thought in your head that perhaps I should be a bit more conservative with my speed and my cornering. So partly I think that's part of what keeps you alive. It's just a natural instinct. Problem solving, basically, if you've entered a corner a little bit too fast, there's a couple of things you can do to slow yourself down safely, and I'm going to try and induce this problem. It's not advised to pull the front brake if you're in a difficult situation on a corner and you're trying to get out of it safely. So I basically applied a back brake very gently and progressively to basically adjust the speed and allow me to lean a little bit more so that I can adjust my direction. So I'm going in a bit too hot, I'm leaning, but I'm still drifting towards the curve, so I apply the back brake and I slow it right down, and I've adjusted the direction of the motorbike. I'm going to try it again here. So we'll be moving out here. I've gone in, I'm moving out, but I tap the back brake, and there you go, adjust the speed. So you could see that I was moving towards the white line, but I didn't touch the front brake. I just let off the throttle a little bit and applied the back brake gently, and that was enough to push the bike back in towards the inside. We're going to try it again here. It's going to try and push me towards the edge of the road out. See again, right, back brake, slow it right down, there you go. See that? It's a real low-tech way to get yourself out of trouble. Oh, Jordania. You're going a bit shallow, back brake, there you go, see? Slows right down. Once more. Enter the corner, lean in, you're going towards the middle of the road, apply the back brake, slow down, the bike changes direction. See? So I'll show you what happens when you actually apply the front brake, and the bike will try and stand up and fight the lean, and then I'll just quickly let go and apply the back brake, and it should be enough to get me through the corner. We're leaning in, front brake, but the bike's trying to stand up, so just slow it right down. And we'll do it again here maybe, I don't know yet. Yeah, see? The bike stands up and goes towards the middle of the road. Hand on the front fork, I'm going too shallow. Oh, see? Look, that's not good, is it? The bike's just going to try and kill you. Up, headed towards the middle of the road, bike stands up, just adjust with the rear brake. It's much better, just adjust with the rear brake. Obviously I don't suggest that you try these techniques out on a main road where it's busy like I am. That's probably a bit silly. I'm basically inducing a problem and exaggerating it, but I'm nowhere near crashing, because I know what I need to do to adjust it. So I suggest that you find a nice quiet spot to practice this if you wish to do so, and you bring some mates along just in case. Just obviously if you decide to go out by yourself, make sure you tell someone where you're going and what you're doing, so they know that they can come and look for you or whatever. Just use your common sense, use your brain, yeah. Don't be stupid. I'm not a professional, you know, motorcycle rider or anything like that. I'm just gradually building my way and gradually building my confidence to allow me to be, well, the best I can be at cornering. You don't want to be there with your bike. Anyway, time to move on.